Welcome to another shorter video today, because in yesterday's video I briefly touched on a potential new tech with Enkindling Orbs that non-Mageblood builds with Flask charge generation, such as a Pathfinder or an Ascendant Pathfinder, or even builds using the Traitor Keystone, could use with regards to the changes to Ruby, Topaz and Sapphire Flasks that are coming in 3.24. These flasks are being changed from granting 20% less damage taken for their respective element to instead grant plus 5% to maximum resistance of their respective element. And this means that you'll now be able to use just one of these flasks to obtain those maximum resistances for all three elements when used in combination with Melding of the Flesh. Now, the potential new tech with Enkindling Orbs involves the enchantment which grants up to 70% increased flask effect, but prevents a flask from gaining charges while it's in use. Because you can now gain the maximum elemental resistances for all three elements by using a single flask with Melding of the Flesh. You could theoretically then use two identical flasks, for example 2 Ruby flasks if you were investing into maximum fire resistance, or even 2 Taste of Hate unique flasks if you're investing into maximum cold resistance, since that's a Sapphire flask base. And you then enchant both flasks using Enkindling Orbs to gain up to 70% increased effect, which is the equivalent of an additional 3.5% maximum resistance on the new flasks. And then you'd need to use each flask in sequence, which is why I said that this tech is a bit cursed in yesterday's video. There's no flask automation here. You'd need to use one flask after the other, so that the flask that's not in use can gain charges while the other is active. And by doing this, you'd essentially be gaining 70% increased flask effect, and that boost to flask effect is benefiting all of your maximum elemental resistances thanks to Melding of the Flesh. Potentially a cool new tech. I doubt it would be very popular due to the lack of automation. However, if yesterday's teaser from GGG is anything to go by, this tech may not even make it into the game in 3.24. Now, everything beyond this point in the video is highly speculative, so this is not a confirmed change. But in the most recent teaser for Necropolis League, GGG is showing off some changes to corrupted map outcomes, and in this short clip, the character they're using has a Mageblood equipped, and they're using a Ruby, Topaz and Sapphire flask. They're also dual-wielding Nebulous, which I think is a nod to the new flasks and the potential they have with Nebulous with the maximum resistance scaling. However, a few things caught my eye in this teaser. Firstly, the lack of Enkindling Orb icons on the interface for the flasks that are equipped on this character. This is a Mageblood character after all, so the usage of Enkindling Orbs is a natural fit on those flasks that are permanently active due to Mageblood, but they're not being used on this character. Now, even though this is pure speculation, I think in the past, GGG have often been very deliberate with what they show and don't show in teasers. So it's possible that this is a subtle hint that Enkindling Orbs are either gone or significantly reworked in 3.24. If that's the case, rip to the cursed Enkindling Orb Tech that didn't even make it into the game, and this would obviously be a very significant nerf to Mageblood as well. But of course, do keep in mind that it's very possible that this wasn't an intentional hint at anything that's changing in regards to Enkindling Orbs. We'll have to wait until March 21st to know for sure. Now, I said everything beyond that point was highly speculative, and here's some more, because this wasn't the only thing that caught my attention in that teaser. Because this character's gear, specifically the helmet, gloves, boots and body armor, are all seemingly standard pieces of rare gear, and yet none of them are influenced with Eater of Worlds or Searing Exarch modifiers. This would be fine if the character was some seemingly entry-level build, but I think it's not too bold to assume that this is a character that's deep into progression, representing an endgame setup with the fact that it's using a Mageblood, it has a double Nebulous equipped with double Call of the Brotherhood rings, and a double Conqueror influenced body armor to boot. And it's not like the gloves, boot or helmet are special base types with pre-existing implicits either. I know that some were speculating that they may be buffing special Atlas base types to compete with Eldritch implicits, but there's nothing hinting towards that here. Once again, we'll have to wait until March 21st to know what, if anything, is changing in regards to gear. But I have to say that something about the way the teasers have been handled in 3.24's pre-leak hype something about the upcoming new GGG live format, and the fact that they're flying out a bunch of creators to LA to preview Path of Exile 2, something about Necropolis just feels like this is going to be a really big release. I can't really put my finger on what exactly it is, but I just get the impression that a lot is going to change in this release, and we're possibly going to be playing a very different Path of Exile on March 29th. Perhaps it's the fact that Path of Exile 2 is on the horizon and they want to improve the Path of Exile 1 experience as much as possible, as they know that the products will have a lot of eyes on it in the coming months. That could be why we're seeing all these quality of life changes, with potentially many more to come just yet. What do you think? Am I diving too far down the rabbit hole digging into these teasers? Or do you think these aspects were very deliberately showcased in these short clips? Let me know by commenting your thoughts below. Shout out to my patrons, thank you for your support. You can join them and support the growth of this channel. Check out the new Patreon that I've set up, the link is in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.